As they say, champions come and go, but legends live forever. When it comes to the forms of motorsport that we're dealing with, particularly on this stage and in these halls, there's one name that really almost transgresses all of it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, the one and only Mr. Barry Lee.
Thank you.
Now Barry, take a seat.
Oh, Miss Summers there, thank you very much.
Now, build it and they will come, Barry. I think that's basically how it is. So where do we start? Well, basically, I learned something today, because I knew about various things that you've taken part in, as I say, because you transgress an awful lot of what we see in this particular hall, the hot rods, the rallycross, etc. But they tell me that you started on horses.
Yeah, it's basically, that was when I was about 8 or 9. I went on the horses, and that's where I learned one of the skills, the art of balance, and that helped me in the rest of my career learning how to balance a car. So the skills of learning to ride and also go down a jumping lane with holding one hair of a horse's mane, no saddle, no bridle on. When you get to the end of the jumping lane, my instructor used to give me a whip if I'd broken the horse's hair. And I said, well, why is that? He said, because haven't got your balance right and you'll be checking on the horse's mouth, and that's not good.
So, with due respect, I mean, horses is a very popular pastime for the girls. But it's quite unusual for a boy to get into it. So how did you get into the horse? I mean, you probably
I'm bisexual.
You're bisexual,
yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I was born in Middlesex.
Yes.
Think about it, Middlesex. No, it's a bit not necessarily unfortunate. It's something that, you know, if you're into that type of thing, it's great. But you don't necessarily have to be feminine to be in there, because if you look at a lot of the horsey women, they're more masculine than I am.
Well, they can be
hairs under their arms and on their back and on the top lip and everything. That's why they brought out this new no-no thing, you know, which is about 300 quid. I bought the wife one because I'm fed up to keep doing the flyman. But there you go. Think about it, it's there.
So really the horses, I mean, did you think that was obviously a pastime, but did you ever compete, as in compete?
Yes, yeah. I actually rode the last big event that I did was at the NEC up here, the Horse of the Year show, and that was jumping against Arthur Shokomola, Harvey Smith, the late Caroline Bradley, whose horse I actually had, because they wanted some type of celebrity, racing car celebrity, to jump against all these superstar horse riding people. So basically I had that, and I had to go around and do 8 jumps, get off the horse, jump into a car, and drive round the cavalettis without knocking them down and stop. And then the fastest one at the end of the Horse of the Year show would win the car. Well, I actually was the fastest the whole time, not because I was the best, but if you remember, when you're excited on any form of motorsport, you tend to forget things. So when all the others were getting in the car, they were grabbing hold of the seatbelt, trying to pull the seatbelt on. Of course, you do it nice and slowly, that's it. But if you try and pull it quickly, it won't work, because it's designed to stop you going through the windscreen.
Yeah.
So that's how I actually won that particular event. But it pissed me off big time, because they gave it to Harvey Smith, because I was the celebrity.
You were the celebrity?
I was the celebrity, so I had to go in my racing overalls, high boots, which I always wear high boots anyway, because I'm into that type of thing. Yeah. But basically, so that was that story over.
Yeah. And then from that, it was from 4 legs to 2 wheels and the Speedway.
Speedway stood me in fantastic stead, because that taught me the art of throttle control, because on a Speedway bike you've got no brakes.
No brakes, yeah.
And when I was doing Speedway, the start line was on actually a 2-metre concrete lock. So basically you had to get plenty of motor on to spin the rear wheel, move yourself back on the seat to get the traction, ease the throttle back so you can get the drive. If there's too much throttle, you'll just spin your wheel and your momentum is nil. Not enough throttle, you'll do what we call a collarbone flip and go over the back and sit on the ground looking like a right prat.
And there's always an awful lot of body movement in the Speedway ride.
Good at that body movement. Yeah, of course there is.
Not that I get me on a Speedway bike, but did that because there's an awful lot of body movement on riding a horse. Not that I've ever ridden a horse, but did one link to the other?
That's what stood me in fantastic stead on my career, because I've driven almost everything. I think I'm the only driver in the world, and I don't mean this to be flash, that have entered 7 different championships, 7 different forms of motorsport, and won all 7 of them, some of them 4 or 5 times. So, but that the horses and the speedway taught me that.
Yeah.
So when you're moving about in a car, you know, don't have a soft seat in your car. Have a firm seat so you can feel what the car's actually doing. Your crutch strap and your waist strap there, run that tight, but don't run your shoulder blades too tight, because you need to be able to move around to feel what the car's actually doing. And horse riding taught me the balance, and the speedway, because you've got no brakes, taught me also the art of throttle control. Now, many years ago, I won the Rallycross Championships for the BTRDA, 1978. The man's holding that thing up there.
That's it, yeah, we did. We've had the BRTDA on the stage this weekend, and of course that is a great way to get into not just Rallycross, but any form of motorsport, because it's an extremely affordable form of motorsport. So really, what led you to go from the Speedway to Rallycross? Because obviously Speedway, was it professional, semi-professional, or what led you to go to the Rallycross?
I was being a professional driver. I started off in Hackney Wick and moved on. Would you believe it? It's my phone ringing. I moved on to...
Well, that's your... legends live forever. Your
shut up. What were we saying? Come on.
We're about the Rallycross. How did you go into Rallycross? Yes, before someone decided to call you.
From Speedway, my Speedway career was cut very short because I had this very serious accident at West Ham Speedway. I was riding for Hackney Wick, where the late great Dave Wills, who was riding against me, lost his life in the accident. That affected me quite bad mentally as well as physically, and I came back to the sport, I think about 2 or 3 years after I had that accident, and we went into grass track racing first of all, then the ovals, then Rallycross was born I think in 1963, when we had the foot and mouth disease in England, and we couldn't have the RAC rally on. Now everybody was, this was the first time rallying was going to be put on BBC television. So they didn't want to lose it, and that's how
they invented Rallycross for the TV.
Because they said, well, how can we have Rallycross? You know, how can we have the tarmac? Well, we've got the tarmac bit. How can we have the rough bit? Well, we've got that. How can we have the ice? So we put the chalk down at Linden, and that represented the ice. So that's how Rallycross was actually born. And it's a fantastic formula. You know, you start off with the BTRDA, and then you move on to the supercars, and the supercars where we've got the young Durand here, who's an utter animal in a car. A real car breaker. And then you've got also the guy, Steve Harris, that's mentoring Freddie, my son, in his career. And he's just, you know, he couldn't drive a stick up anywhere. And the only time he ever wins when Steve Harris is out there is when his throttle stick's open or none of the others finish. But he's a character. That's the main thing.
This is just it. And really, the Rallycross, you mentioned the ovals. Now, when I was a child, hot rods meant one thing.
That's a long time ago, isn't it?
It was, yeah. This is just it. We all get there eventually.
Yes.
But it meant one thing, but it meant three things. It meant the big three, and that was in the hot rods, of which you were one of the big three. Barry Lee in the hot rods. So really, how did hot rods come about for you?
I had about 2 years away from motorsport. I went to M Spares to buy some spares for a job that I was doing at my father's garage. And I looked in the corner, there was a little old Mini stuck in the corner there. I said, oh, what's that? They said, it's hot rod. So I said, is that any good? They said, come along and have a look. So I went along the next race meeting, saw it. I believe it was at Whiteside Stadium then. Okay, it was Walthamstow, yeah. And I had a look and I said, oh, that's fantastic. I wouldn't mind having a go at it. They said, well, if you want to have a go at that, we'll sponsor you. So I said, fair enough. So I built the yellow Mark Escort, threw all that together. It was one of my old cars, my old Rallycross cars. And that's how I came into hot rodding. But it's a captive audience like you are now here. You know, back over in the snob side of motorsport, which is over there where you've got to have £1 million budgets and everything else. This is proper racing people here. Yeah. You know, your Formula One stock cars, they've got bigger talkers than anybody that I ever know. They are the true race drivers. Then the Formula 2 stock cars. These grass track boys, I've commentated on television on some of these grass track racing, they are absolutely phenomenal. And I hate it when people say, this is the grassroots of motorsport. Crap, it's the best form of motorsport.
Yeah.
You know, put any of these guys in this hall here against any of those in that hall out there, and we're bliming to the weeds. Yeah, perhaps not in their form of racing, but in our form of racing, if they want to do 4 or 5 different forms that we've got here, and we do one of their forms either in touring cars, whatever you want to name, we'll blow them away.
Well, it has happened. Obviously, the obvious names to mention that have started on the ovals and gone on right to the very top. Someone who you presumably raced against in hot rods. Well, Collard, yeah. Of course, Rob Collard has been racing the touring cars, but Martin Brundle very briefly did hot rods. Presumably you would have raced against him. And also, of course, Superstock World Champion Derek Warwick.
Exactly. Well, then Derek drove for us when I was running the Tolman Formula 1 team with Alex Hawkridge. Derek was with us, he was in Formula 2, then he went into Formula 1, and we actually signed Ayrton Senna. We gave Ayrton Senna his first F1 season in Formula 1.
Yes, of course. Now, you've pioneered several things, and one of the things that I remember is with one Winter Nationals at Wimbledon, you had an in-car camera in your Mark 1 Escort, and it was...
That was the first time they put that in.
Yeah, yes. It was the size of, well, it was huge.
Yes, they're not tiny little cameras. This was a huge camera. And that was in there, and like any good director of filming or whatever else, they waited until I caught some people up because I had to start last, and I could hardly see where I was going. I'd actually bounced off the fence and the steering was out a little bit, and they said, we're now going to cut over to Barry Lee, you know, and I had to try and do a live commentary. I think I swore profusely on that particular bit, not just to say I can't do it. It was like, well, F this, F that, and F everything else, and so they then translated that into English and said, I think Barry's a bit busy at the moment, we'll go back to him later on. But once again, I'm not trying to be offensive or anything else to anybody, that's me. When we said the big three, you know, I was the one with all the glitter and the glam. Duffy was the one who was the pig farmer, because he was big, fat and round. George was the one in a little old Anglia that was sorted out better than Duffy's or my car, but that was me. But nowadays, with health and safety, you can't do those type of things, because health and safety can stop you. So you win a race nowadays, you go to get out the car and wave your hand and everything else, you're not allowed to do it. You're not allowed to get out and wave to the crowd or do anything like that. I can remember when I ran a truck race, when I was truck racing champion, I used to look up the box of a run a race, and Angela Webb and John Webb, the own brand tax then, used to go, give me the thumbs up, and I used to go and do 2 or 3 donuts on 2 or 3 of the corners. They'd pay me fine, but they'll also pay me 300 quid as well. Now, when the stewards went out and said, we're going to ban him, they would go to the marshals that I'd already paid, and the marshals would then turn around and say, no, he didn't do a donut, he come round the corner, lost it, and just skidded round a couple of times. So there's ways to do it. The hot rod boys now can do it. Formula 1 boys do it. The Formula 2 boys are not quite there, but the hot rod boys and the grass track boys, you're not RAC affiliated. No, you are affiliated to the RAC, but you're not under their control. But for Christ's sake, when you've won a race, don't just drive back to the pits. Get out and wave to the crowd. It doesn't matter if they laugh at you. Half the crowd used to hate me, half the crowd used to love me. But the half that hated me were the first ones over the fence if I ever crashed. When they saw I was all alright, they'd most probably spit at me or try and catch my car on fire. But put a show on, because that's how we can make our sport of oval racing great again. It's there now. We've got fabulous cars here today. The best car turnout I've ever seen at this racing car show is in this oval arena here. So for Christ's sake, go and tell the people out there what you're doing. Sell yourself and sell your sport. That's the only way you're going to go and get sponsorship in.
Absolutely, and it's all about putting on the show, and then the people coming in so that they can have their favourites and have the ones who they boo. I mean, we did have a good example on the stage an hour ago. The top Formula 2 stock car driver, Gordon Moody. He's got a following in Scotland where it is a proper 50-50, but of course he was universally respected, and you mentioned having a crash. Gordon did have a serious accident last year, and everyone was very, very concerned for it.
Exactly.
You're exactly right.
But you watch these Formula 1 boys, I think it's been on your television screen here, and you see Frankie Wayman, I think he's over in the corner, and I was talking to him. How the hell, on that small circuit, I think it's Sheffield, can they overtake without using their bumper? And they can't use their bumper too much to push them into the crowd, into the outside fence, because they're so narrow, they come back and they take you out as well. How the hell do they do it? They are one of the best drivers that God put breath into. I wouldn't do it.
No.
I've done Formula. When Les Eaton was alive, he put me in a stock car, a super stock, and it was for team events.
Right.
And they built me this car and everything. He gave everybody a 5, and this is a true story. So when they got behind me to hit me up the back and everything else, it's like sitting in a Belfield in his car. Look, your head goes on. I got out of that car for the first race and said, "Les, I don't care. There's your money back. I'll never see another one." I'm scared stiff of them, and I don't mind admitting it. They are brave.
You say brave, but that's obviously small. You've been on the speedway, now that's brave. But you briefly mentioned the truck racing. That's big. How did that come about? I mean, big as in big in size, and effectively driving a lorry around the track. You know, it's
they're very, very quick. You know, we done a 0 to 100 down the Silverstone Straight to advertise this. This was against the 500cc Cosworth Sierra then. And we were like 2 seconds quicker to 100 and that. The trucks are phenomenal. We used to have a hell of a lot of trouble with brakes, and then we tried spraying water on them, and we'd crack the discs, so we used to put a fine mist of water on, and that cured it. But on the trucks, it's quite funny, because they're so heavy and so fast, and the steerings are so, you know, they're very, very light, they're power steering. The brake pedal is only very, very small, because they're air brakes, so when you put the brakes on, psst, that's it. But when you hold the brakes on, after 2 or 3 laps, everything's got too hot. You put the brakes on, after about 2 seconds, you've still got the brakes on, and the truck starts going faster again, because the brakes have had enough. So on truck racing, you're sitting so high up, you know a quarter of a mile before you're going to have an accident, that you're going to have an accident. So you've got time to get onto the radio to the lads and say, "Lads, load up, we're going home now, because this one's going to hurt." That is a true story. And the other thing about trucks, I've raced many, many circuits, and you know where the corners go, you know what it's all about. You sit in a truck and you're up here somewhere, and you, especially at Donington, you go around there and you're looking over the bank. You thought, maybe there's a row of toilets there, or someone's having a shower there, because you've never seen that when you're sitting down here below the Armco. So it's totally different to get used to those particular circuits as well. So every form of motorsport, you've got to get used to it. But once again, it's all down. Please remember, all you lot, sit in the cars. Oh, I don't believe Barry Wizzo Williams. Look how old and grey that old bastard is there. Look at that. Please get out of the way. Thank you. Do you know him? Oh, he's about the only one that doesn't. What was I saying there?
You were talking about the trucks before Barry Wizzo Williams appeared.
No, they're not. Right. Thank you very much. Trucks. So it's very, very interesting. But please remember your seating position in any form of racing car you've got. It's very, very important to be safe and to have the correct fitting seat. Because don't forget, when you have an accident, and you're going to have a few accidents, if you don't, you're not going quick enough, you know, you want to be safe. So make sure you have a firm seat and you're strapped in nice and tight at the bottom to stop your submarine, leave your top ones, because a lot of drivers that I've taught to drive, and I still do this, they phone me up and say, "Barry, can I have a day with you," or whatever else. Yes, I'll do that. But they're sitting, they're strapped themselves in, and I say, "Okay, you're all right?" They say, "Yeah, fine." I say, "Right, now put the wipers." Can't reach them. Right? They can't reach the wipers because they haven't forgot to put the lights on. Can't reach them. So basically, there's lots of things. Start off, forget making the car go faster. Start off with your seating position first. It's very, very important for your own safety.
Indeed, absolutely. Wise words. Now back to you. Obviously, the whole hot rod thing has done full circle, but there's a big movement now for the classic hot rods. And needless to say, the first 2 classic hot rods were built when they had to be. It was a replica of one of your cars, it was a replica of one of George Polly's cars.
Yes.
And you've had a go out there in the classic hot rods. Was it sort of a real case of turning the clock back?
It was phenomenal, because George and I came here, and I think it was the millennium year. And that was about 10 years ago, wasn't it? 12 years.
14.
14 years.
14 years, yeah.
And we'd done it in the indoor arena. And then when we came out, there were so many people interested in watching that. When we came to park the cars, we had to drive out the back here.
Yeah.
And there's just crowds lining there.
As there would
so
be.
everywhere we were donutting and doing that. And that's what it was all about. They've now brought in these prehistoric, what is it called now? Classic hot rods.
Classic hot rods, yeah.
Yes, okay. Are we taking a few drivers away from going into the normal hot rods and they're now going into classic hot rods? Is it another formula? Do we need another formula in here? I don't think we do. If we do, it's got to be a very cheap formula.
Yeah.
And the only way to make it cheap is like the new modern hot rods. you know, they're getting more and more expensive. So there's only one way to make them cheaper. Put them on 15-inch wheels so they look better, and on road tyres.
Right.
Now the reason I say that, because everybody likes to see them go sideways around a corner and overtake.
Yeah.
And you can't do that on the modern racing tyre we've got on a quarter mile oval. But you will be able to do it if you go back onto standard road tyres. Nice and wide, so they look all alright, but 15-inch so they look good on the car as well. And then people won't go and spend 15 grand on an engine because they won't be able to put the power to the ground. They won't spend 5 grand on a set of brakes because they don't need those expensive brakes.
That's it.
So there is a way, overnight,
Yeah.
you could change the oval scene.
There we are. We've put that to the powers that be. But just touching on something there about the classic hot rods, where you said, do we need another class? And you could say maybe, maybe not. Do you think that the classic hot rods that are being built, they look good, they sound good? Do you think they should be more for demonstration purposes rather than an actual racing class?
Yes, because a lot of people are spending a lot of money on those. And once again, those that can afford it can push their way through. Listen, everybody wants to win.
Yeah.
And if it is even a demonstration race, and I've done many demonstration races, and when everyone's talking before, we go, yeah, okay, I'll come third, I'll come fourth, and you sit in the car and think, like, bloody hell, as soon as that flag drops, you've gone.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's what it's about. Yes, try and curb it a little bit because they're fantastic cars. People spend a lot of time and a lot of money on them, and there's not a lot of those shells left.
No, indeed, that's the thing, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
finding the,
Yeah.
it's all very well thinking, oh, I want to go out and build one, but
That's right.
it's finding the parts for them. Now, to really coming right up to date, obviously it's a long story, and you can actually, well, to be honest with you, say it's a long story, you can actually read about your story because you have got your book available.
I have got
Yes,
a book.
yes, you can.
There is a book out called The Other Side of Winning. That's on sale at the Burton stand. It's something it's truth. It's all about, as I say, the other side, not what I've done and what I've won. People know that. It's what's happened when I actually won a few races and got known to people, that the television people get on and say, will you go and do Escadab in a rally stage? Can you go and do Stars in Your Eyes or whatever, those type of things. It's like I won Driving Force with Annika Rice.
Yeah, I actually do remember that, yeah.
Annika Rice.
Yes.
Barry Wizzo Williams is saying who. In fact, he's such a good driver, he wasn't picked for that event because they only had superstars in there, but that's another story.
Yeah.
But please, don't laugh.
Yeah.
He's trying.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were saying,
yes,
you know what, I'm going to sod you up. Look, now I've nicked his bit of paper, you don't know what question does he?
They're from your publicist, actually. So.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's on the Burton stand, and I'll sign the books for you. They're 450 quid, and £300 of that goes to me, and the rest, whoever wrote it. I don't know who wrote it or done anything else, but it's a good read, so I've heard.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Bringing right up to date, obviously you are now involved with your son Freddie. You've got the car over there.
Yes, 51.
In Hall 9. So I think the best thing to do is perhaps bring Freddie on.
Oh, down to you, mate.
Okay then, so let's
Thank
bring
you
on
very
to the
much.
stage then. To join Barry, it's Freddie Lee. Okay, so take a seat. Obviously, now on the stage today, indeed, we've had Frankie Wayman's son, because he's of course the Bristol Formula 1 legend. Now, someone who Barry will have raced against, Orman Christie. We've had his son John Christie on. So now we've got another famous son of a famous father. And I will ask you the same as that I asked them. Do you think that goes for you or against you as a burden you'll always be son of?
First of all, thanks for having us up here.
That's fine, yeah.
And, you know, having dad as a dad is challenging at times.
Yeah.
But as you can all, you've been listening to him for the last half an hour. And I have to live with it.
This is just it. So, obviously there are plenty of sons and daughters of sportsmen. They don't want to go into their father or mother's form of the sport. They think, I grew up with this. I don't want to. I want to be my own person doing something else. Obviously, you're now following the same path to a certain extent. Was that something you always wanted to do and dreamed of?
Well, to be honest, Dad tried and kept me out of motorsport, as obviously he knows what it takes to make it, and he knows that it takes a lot of money and a lot of dedication. So he wanted me to go maybe the route of education and get a job and settle down, but you know, I think it's in my genes as such, and I've always wanted to do it. And finally, after a lot of time asking, I managed to persuade him to let me have a go in a racing kart. And I suppose the rest, I've just been carrying on from there and doing my best and keeping my head down and seeing what happens.
So you started in karts?
Yes.
Which is the traditional route really for many. I mean, there are various oval classes that are starting out from. There's just been one launched for 7-year-olds on this stage today. You could debate whether that's too young or otherwise, but I think karting, they start even younger than that. So karting that's where you felt you could and should start.
Yeah, you know, it's, you see it as a kid growing up. You can other kids karting, and I suppose that's kind of the generic route to take as a child. So yeah, I started in karting and it was pretty successful, but got to the point where a lot of karting now, you have to go over to Europe to make it. And you know, I don't want to make it in karting, I want to make it in cars and in other forms of motorsport. So I had to move out at some point, and that's when we decided to move out and take a year out in mini stock before I was 14 and I could get my licence to race on the tracks.
Yeah, and then you had your year in mini stocks, which was relatively successful, if I recall. So even though you're going towards the circuits, you still felt the inclination towards having a go on the ovals.
I think there's nothing like the ovals. You know, the fastest guys start at the back, which I think is how it should be. So they have to race hard for their wins. It's not just they start off pole and they have to control the race. And I think as a youngster that teaches you a lot. And having to come through the traffic and fight for wins and get through was what stood me in good stead for where I want to go in the future.
And so for mini stocks, once you reached the age of 14, where was it then for you?
I went into Junior Fiestas, which is backed by the BRSCC.
Yeah.
Which is now taken over by Bernard Cottrell. So I think that championship now is going to flourish and really make some really good drivers with a front wheel drive car, and you know, they're powerful cars, and it teaches the youngsters on road tyres what the circuits are about and what it's like to race in saloon cars.
And then from Fiestas, it was to
Ginetta.
Yeah.
I mean, onto the Toka package, and to have my time there and see what it was about. And yeah, it was a really nice time. It was to be with that package.
Which is on the TV, of course, when you get the live television coverage.
Yeah, I had a really good time there, and it was able to have the front wheel drive success in Fiesta, and then take that and try and adapt it to the rear wheel drive of Ginetta and the GT kind of formula. And yeah, it was really, really good, and it stood me in good stead going into the British Pickup Truck Championship.
And that is what you've got over there between holes 9 and 10. So why did you choose? Obviously there are, you could argue, too many. We've had guests on stage this weekend, and I think we've all been in agreement that there is perhaps too many classes on the ovals and on the circuits. So what really led you to choose the pickup trucks?
The money's in America, and you know, I want to try and get out there, or into Australia or something like that.
Yeah, where both Australia and America do have successful pickup trucks series, don't they?
Yes, obviously with the V8 supercars, very similar to the truck that you'll see somewhere around Australia.
Yes, on the big screens, yeah. If you've got Motors TV, they do show the utes over there, which are, to be honest, your time, if you do ever make it over there, I think your time in mini stocks might stand you in good stead, because they don't hold back over there in the utes, as they call them, do they?
No, and obviously being up against some really tough competitors in pickups, which many have come from the ovals of Dave Longhurst, Pete Stevens, and you know, it's nice to race against guys with that experience, so you can feed off of them and learn off of them.
And obviously Rockingham is, Dad wants to step in.
I was just going to say, yeah, America is where the money is, but I honestly think for youngsters nowadays, don't forget India and China. Crap food, nice people though, but basically they've got no small racetracks in either of those countries. They are the up-and-coming countries, and you watch my words, the next 4 or 5 years, that's where all these little clubs will start springing up all over. Vast countries, huge populations, and that's where motorsport is going to be going. I've just signed a deal with the 3Js, the transmission people, and basically I'm trying to say to them, hey, you know, forget England, you're well known over here now in England. I'm only saying that they support Freddie for us, but that's where we want to be going, into those type of countries, because they've now got the money to be able to do it.
Yeah.
There's ovals over there. You know, I'd like to be the first guy to put an oval in India.
Yeah,
really
definitely.
would. Especially racing camels and Christ knows what, or those buffaloes or whatever they do.
Oxfords that are over, all the Morris Oxfords that are over there.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the way we can do back. I could actually take Wizzo Williams over there because that's his first car he ever raced.
Well, there we go.
Morris
yeah.
Oxford.
Well, to be honest with you, I can see a TV programme coming on right now.
Well, there you go. So listen, it all started here at the Oval.
Barry and Barry to India. There we go.